I like to rain and I cannot lie on the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, where one man with long sleeves talks about getting tattoos and another man slowly creates Catan.
Apparently, I'm creating Catan, and apparently, does he mean tattoo sleeves or like fabric sleeves?
I just wear long sleeves. Yeah, I
Okay.
wear long sleeve shirts.
Which actually is funny because I'm wearing a long sleeve tee right now.
Yeah,
I thought it meant you.
yeah.
Like,
I'm both people?
you're both people.
I think
Who's
you
this
are.
mysterious third voice talking right now for our audio listeners?
Yeah, who's this person?
I don't know. He's just some guy we found on the street, and he came
I'm
in.
Greg from Canada.
We got Jeremy from Black Magic Craft on the podcast as a guest this time. Round two.
Round
the
two.
only guest to be on twice,
Is that true?
I think.
Which is
Sam on twice?
Vince been on twice?
Don't think so.
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
Just that one time when he came over.
at the very least, I'm probably if there's someone that's been on twice, am I the first one that's been on the old set and the new set?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is like when
The
that-
old set, the first one in the
Yeah.
corner of that room.
Yeah.
Not the long table. Remember that?
he was long table.
I was long table era.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he was because he was in the middle. I
was in the
remember it.
middle. Yeah, long table era for sure.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if did you ever have a guest?
Have you been on 3 times?
No.
Because there was a time when we recorded a main topic with just you and me. And you were on the long table then?
Not for a podcast.
What
We
the
did a
fuck?
video, but that was
I know
also at
that.
the long table.
I remember that.
was also-
I remember that.
I think
Now
this
I'm all
is-
confused.
Brent did.
Brent did do that, yes.
Brent was in the old set.
Brent and Sam did that. I thought you did it as well.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I look exactly like Brent. So.
His face.
It's the hair.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a little preamble ramble action, which is just kind of like random topic, sometimes related to the hobby, sometimes not related. John, what's your deal, brother?
I got a new cat.
You did?
Oh.
Yeah, I got a new little kitty.
How many cats is that now? Is this 2 or 3?
2, because our old cat passed away like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Probably
Sorry to hear that.
a little bit
Bummer.
before. Yeah, our right around when we had our last podcast. Actually, I think it was the day before when we recorded our last podcast.
Go back and watch that one and see the sadness.
Yeah, you can see it deep in my eyes. She was 15. She was our first adoption cat since we moved back down to Rochester, and she lived a good long life. She was 15. But so yeah, we adopted a little kitty.
Nice.
So a little all black kitty named Luna. And so right now she's still like quarantined in our bathroom while our big fat tomcat is getting used to her smells. So
Is that like a best practice for
Yeah,
cat ownership?
definitely.
Okay.
you know, get them used to each other. But he's sorely missing a companion, so I'm sure they're gonna warm right up. But yeah, it's you kind of forget how fun little kittens are, and they just play with everything. And she was chewing on my strings on my sweatshirt this morning. Should have brought her with. I just kept her in my hoodie the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something new with me. New
All right.
cat. Cats
Very
are
cool.
awesome, by the way.
Cats are the best.
Are they? I feel like they're hit or miss because I feel like sometimes you might get one that's really cuddly and really fun or somewhere in the middle, or you might get one that's just like really private and doesn't want to, hang out. And I kind of feel like for a pet,
Yeah.
that's a little sad.
But like, I feel like I remember your cat was like not super cuddly and friendly from last time when I
Definitely not when people came over. And like he was kind of like halfway. So like he would
Yeah.
sometimes hang out. If you had popcorn, he was there in an instant. But yeah, he was definitely like not super
See,
cuddly.
The cool thing about cats is that when they love you, you know that you earned it.
Okay,
You know
okay.
that you earned it, and it's true love.
Are you saying that my cat didn't love me?
No, if it loved you, it did. But I'm saying like dogs will love anything and anyone.
Yes.
Right?
They're easy to please.
You could just be a piece of shit dog owner.
Yeah.
Your dog fucking loves you.
Yeah.
But cats won't tolerate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. And they have personalities too. So that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you wanted to adopt a an adult cat, and they'll know what kind of personality it is, and they're like, oh, they're really good with other cats and dogs, or they're a real cuddly thing, or they just love to play, and that kind of stuff. Like they have personalities, Scott.
I believe it. I love cats. I want another cat. I want a black cat.
Yeah.
So my question for you, John, is this a reference to Harry Potter? Is this Luna Lovegood?
Yes.
Nice.
So my daughter named her Luna because I wanted to name her Winky because there's probably a different term for, like reference for the term Winky than what I was referring to. But in Harry Potter, because our other cat's name is Dobby, because Dobby is the house cat instead of the house elf. But there is a female house elf in Harry Potter that is kind of beaten and abused and stuff, and her name is Winky, and she's good, and she befriends Dobby. I'm like, oh, that works. The name Winky, I'm not a big fan of. My daughter vetoed that rightly, so and she named her Luna instead, which is great because an all-black cat, Luna means the moon. It's
Also, like, don't name your pet after a character that's just been notoriously beaten.
yeah, well,
So they named one Dobby. So
That's true.
Mission
That's true.
failed.
yeah, we just have to be careful. We can never give Dobby a sock. That's
Yeah.
the key. And then
He'll rise up against his oppressors.
yeah, and he could. That fucking cat weighs like 20 pounds, so he's scary.
All right.
so that's what I got. I got a new cat just for this episode, so we had something to talk
You
about.
can't top a new cat.
I'm going to try. My reign of supremacy continues in Necromunda. I played my third game of my narrative campaign against a House Orlok gang. And, the Emperor blessed my hand once again. Jedediah slew some more people.
No,
And I put down another W. Yeah, he's that guy's a menace. No one can stop him.
damn. What's his notches on his sword at this point?
I really wish that I kept track of that, but I would say it's probably 6 or 7 people that he has removed from combat. Because you can do wounds to people and they can have serious injuries or fall over, but it's another thing entirely to remove someone from the game. But yeah, he's removed 6 or 7 people in his 3 games. So he's doing well. He's slaying people.
I think you do need to paint on the little notches somewhere on that blade for
That would be-
every foe that he's slain.
That'd be sick. I'm beginning to feel bad. I feel like I'm doing something that's broken or OP, because I'm not doing anything especially strategic with my guys, My fucking leader has smoke grenades and a greatsword in the 41st millennia, okay? Yeah. He's not tactical. He pops the smoke and runs it down mid and then chops people in half, So I don't know what's going on. Maybe my shit's broken. I also have like 5 of these flamethrower stick dudes who seem kind of really good. Maybe I should kind of cool it on those guys.
Yeah, no.
Nah, I'm just going to make everyone fucking regret
Maybe the
playing
other
me.
people just suck.
Yeah,
playing.
that's what it is. I'm the
You're
best.
just so good at the game.
You ever feel that way? Like when you're playing a game and like, I don't know, like maybe you play one friend a lot and like maybe you beat that friend a lot, or you're playing in a campaign and you're winning a lot, and like I don't want people to like not look forward to playing me because I'm like running some broken shit or something like that. You ever feel that way?
That's why I had to stop playing Magic the Gathering
Oh, 'cause you're too
with a
good?
very small. Well, not even because I was too good, but because I was playing with like 2 people all the time regularly. And if you're playing constructed in any form, you create this like really small meta, which like it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, then I would go to Friday Night Magic and get my ass destroyed in draft.
Yeah.
So like it kept it real, but
Okay.
Keeps you humble.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's a really interesting thing that I found, because it's absolutely true in Magic, and that's where my brain went as well, Jeremy. But I feel it's also true, especially the larger the game, like a Age of Sigmar or 40k. It can sometimes be deceptively hard to see how players' skill is actually affecting outcome. Where you just see that they played a powerful card, or they have a powerful unit or something, and your brain goes to that's the reason why you lost, instead of like focusing on the things that actually matter.
But they made a good decision to get to that point.
Yes, in placement, and you had to run into their chaff first. They're dictating the flow of the battle so they can maximize their things. But if you don't see that or like really understand the game, or don't have enough reps yet, it's just invisible. And so it's so much harder to like feel like, oh, am I just broken, or was I just playing the guys in the way that I need to play them to maximize what they do?
Did I just do it right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I did it. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like doing dumb things for the sake of it. I am trying to play well. There is one thing that's broken about my faction. So in Necromunda, when you lose a certain number of guys, you have to make what's called a bottle check. And if you fail your bottle check, which is more likely to fail the more dudes you have dead, you have to make cool checks for each member of your gang. And if they start failing, they just leave the battle. They don't get wounded or anything, but they're just gone. And so I have this prayer that I can do that takes all of my dead dudes and says that my enemy has to count all of my dead dudes and their dead dudes together to start making bottling checks. And so round 2, round 3, I have like a horde army, right? My guys are dying left and right, which doesn't bother me because if I have more guys, I'm less likely to bottle. But my opponents have like 6, 7, 8 guys, and then I fucking pull that shenanigan, and it's like they're bottling turn 3 almost guaranteed, and then their guys are failing cool checks and just leaving the battle after that. Like, 3 guys here, 2 guys there, and so it feels like I'm gonna win the game card, and so I'm gonna stop using that. But
nah,
we'll see.
No.
We'll see.
Like, what's the story or lore behind that? Where they're like, they kill your guys, and they're like, damn, I guess we did a good job. We can go home now, and they just leave halfway through.
I don't know. It's like I could probably read the lore of. It's called an Article of Faith.
I only got paid for 4 hours work.
I mean, honestly, yeah, they're all criminals. They're gangers. So maybe they would kind of feel that way. And I'm not getting paid for this shit.
It's piecework. It's not hourly, right?
Yeah.
Right. They got the memo. It's like Bernie Sanders says we get a 32-hour work week now, so we're done. We're out. We're out. Okay, so I got a couple other things, but I wanted to bump the ball over to Jeremy first. So Jeremy, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but like this is your first Adepticon. That's why you're here, right?
That's why I'm here.
This is the kind of halfway point.
This is
not
like
exactly,
pretty
but
much the halfway point. It let us sleep instead of doing a 12, 13-hour drive. It's like broken up, which is real nice.
A European somewhere just died hearing you say that.
Yeah. Here, this is for the Europeans. They'll blow their fucking mind. And the second we crossed the border, I set my truck's odometer to miles per hour so that when I look at the sign, it's like I know that I'm going right. But my phone's Apple Maps was still working in kilometers. And so as I'm driving, I'm looking going, okay, I have 56 miles until my gas tank is empty and my next stop is 110 kilometers away. And it was just like normal. That's just how our brains work in Canada. Like totally normal.
you just knew that. Like there's a Beautiful Mind meme going of you like
all the formulas. Yeah.
And I'm terrible at math. Don't get the wrong. Like I can't do basic multiplication, but like we're just used to look like, okay, 50 miles an hour, look at the thing, look at the small number, that's this. So if I double that, and yeah, okay, we're good. Like
What's 8 times 4?
32.
You lied to me. You can do multiplication.
Well, that's an easy one.
Okay, what's 9 times 8?
I don't know. I need a piece
I
of
told them
paper.
we were gonna give him softballs, and we're like asking him fucking math questions.
I mean, most people do know what 9 times 8 is. I've recently learned that I'm probably dyslexic. So I think that is my excuse.
like with math or with
You can,
words as well.
With both.
Okay.
You can be with both. Because we learned that my daughter, we got her diagnosed, she's dyslexic. And then as I'm learning about it, I'm like, oh,
I am just coping with this.
I am just a kid from the 80s and parents who didn't care and deal
just
with it, buddy.
You're just dumb. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. My daughter's dyslexic as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Albert Einstein was dyslexic.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
very
right.
much. I'm sure you did at one point look at the Wikipedia list of famous
Yes.
dyslexic people to make your daughter feel better.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous people and people she can relate to as well that are dyslexic. You just learn it in a different way.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just it. And it's just like, well, if we are just force feeding everyone to learn the exact same way, if you don't fit that exact mold, then it's just
Dyslexic brains are just like problem solvers of like pre-industrialization that don't fit in like our academic system, but they're really good at inventing and creativity and all that shit.
Okay.
But bad at reading and writing from a book.
right. And the thing is too is like, well, you have to think about it. If everything the way society is set up, how everyone works things, you're constantly problem solving for you to go through your daily life. Well, then your brain is in that problem solving creative mode more often.
True.
So, I mean, yeah, that's okay. I mean, you turned out just fine.
Pretty much.
So, your daughter's got the leg up because now she's got a dad that understands.
Yeah, man. We like put her in like a class and stuff, like
we did
doing
the
all the
class too.
things.
That's good. That's good. Do you have any preamble ramble topics? Anything that happened to you that's interesting or you want to chat about? Hobby related, not hobby related?
Well, for one, we drove to Minneapolis from Winnipeg yesterday.
Nice.
In the fastest time I think anyone's ever done that.
Really?
How many hours?
We made it from the like JP's house in the city in Winnipeg, through customs, stopped to eat and get gas to the hotel door in Roseville in 7 hours and 15 minutes.
That's incredible.
It's an 8-hour drive from like basically like city to city, but we also like went through an international border, which was pretty chill that time, and Yeah, and like stopped and ate a fucking Hardee's meal and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, get that Hardee's gas station twofer.
I did like 130 to 140 all the way here, which is, I can't remember what that is. That's probably like, I think that's like 88 to 90
Yeah.
miles an hour.
Yeah.
Basically the entire road, because I realized that like you can get away with speeding really easily here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. You gotta check like if a cop like enters the highway on an on-ramp behind you. You also gotta check like those like wait areas. Like I see cops like kind of just off there often.
So my Apple Maps like alerted me to both of the speed traps.
Yeah,
Like we never get that at home. Like we have like red light or speed camera ahead, like a static one that's always there.
Okay.
But it actually like said, hey, there's a state trooper sitting there, so slow down.
Okay,
I was
nice.
like, whoa. So I slowed down those times. It was good.
Yeah, I like to do a little bit of what I call the interstate drift, where I just find the guy that's going the fastest.
Yeah. And just
lower
tail
than
him.
And I just follow him the whole time.
Absolutely. But the thing for me is that, like you've driven through Canada, we don't have very nice highways. They are like just, especially like in my area of Canada, they are just rippled and potholed and like just abused by freeze and thaw and being on a tundra swamp. So when you start to drive quite fast, it becomes kind of dicey.
Yeah.
It's like,
You're gonna mess up your alignment real quick.
I'm driving like, like a brand new nice truck that I just got like my tires rotated like on Friday on a, nice American interstate. And I'm like, I'm just going to pretend this is Germany.
Yeah. Minnesota does put a lot of money into, actually Wisconsin's better than Minnesota, not to start any beef in terms of the quality of their highways and interstate. Minnesota's not bad, but yeah, we have the same issue of every time it's warm out, it's road construction season.
I mean, you guys have the same weather we have, give or take, same freeze thaw cycle. The difference is that like where I am, we are literally a city built on a bog, like a swamp and clay. So when that stuff freezes and thaws, it's clay that expands to like 10 times its size. So we literally have like potholes that are, this big and bumps. Like it's mental.
I have exciting news, guys. Tonight is Chef Ninjani pizza night at my house.
Okay.
Yeah, I've recently gotten into making.
Do you have an oven? A little fire oven?
No, I don't. But I finally have come up with the correct dough. I order special pizza dough. I get it imported from
where?
From Costco.
That fucking guy ordered Costco.
Yeah, it's imported from Costco.
I think that just means you bought it from Costco.
I think that's what it means. Yeah.
It's semantics, Jeremy. Semantics. It's special pizza dough. But I've tried a bunch of different doughs. But the thing is, I started making the dough like 2 days ago, and then I let it proof twice for a total of 48 hours. And then I'm going to have to do all these other steps for 45 minutes prior to cooking. But then I crank my oven as high as it goes, and you put in the pizza stone.
Oh, you use pizza stone?
Yeah. So I have it up to 525 with the pizza stone in there. So don't accidentally touch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit dicey when you have like your heavy duty oven mitts, the oven gloves on. You got to take it out. You got to quickly put out the dough. I make it like super thin, and it's like cooking on
while
there.
You're prepping.
Yeah, while I'm prepping.
Oh shit! You
Put
put
the
it
shit
on
there
while you put the pizza. Okay.
Yeah, you have to preheat the stone, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
for
stone's
sure,
got to get to 500. So that's how you get the cracker thin crust.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you did that ahead of time, you can't transfer that.
No. So I do that, and I did a big batches of pizza sauce, which I may have talked about on the podcast before this past summer, and then I freeze that, so I have my own homemade pizza sauce. That's it.
Did you garden?
Yeah.
Garden tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Buddy.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm pretty excited. I got it down. I'll send you guys pictures.
We can't eat it though. Sad.
No,
What's the topping of choice?
Well, I do two pizzas.
I don't care what your wife and kid eat.
Yeah,
They
that's
probably
just
got
cheese.
bad options.
I do pepperoni and mushrooms.
Nice.
Pepperoni and mushrooms.
Classic.
I like and sometimes I'll do fresh mushrooms. Sometimes I'll do canned mushrooms. Something about them little slimers. I just love them.
Hey man, my favorite pizza place that I order from, you get to pick fresh mushrooms or canned.
Yeah.
And from there, I will always pick canned because they have a certain kind of sauce and a certain kind of spice.
Yep.
And those slimy little mushrooms grow like
Go
it's just
good.
fucking awesome.
You guys are both fucking weird, dude.
Yeah.
Do you not like mushrooms or don't like canned?
Oh no, I definitely like mushrooms, but I'm definitely a Puritan when it comes to pizza. Like I'll take a cheese slice, pepperoni
Are
slice.
you like Neapolitan pizza only?
No, not only, but like when it comes to toppings, yeah, I'm like cheese only or pepperoni only.
I mean, pepperoni is like the pizza.
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
staple. But like pepperoni and mushroom, but for me and bacon, which we call the Canadian, just for so you know.
okay.
That's
Okay,
that's
so
the
like it's a
standard.
ham kind of, but Canadian bacon is not the same as ham.
No, just bacon. Like
Regular bacon. American
Canadian bacon is a thing that doesn't exist in Canada. That's a thing you guys made up
What's
to
one
call
of the
ham.
things we do? Yeah.
We have side bacon and back bacon.
Okay.
And like when we say I'm going to eat some bacon, in our brain we think of the same thing you do, which is a strip of bacon. Right? The like what you think of Canadian bacon, we usually would just call ham, or maybe like back bacon.
That's
but
kind of
like,
what it is for us too, obviously. Yeah.
Is it like more like a capicola ham or something? It's a little.
There's something about it that's it's like a smoked differently. I don't know.
It's all delicious.
I mean, it's processed meat, so
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, dude.
So the other pizza is always just cheese, so that's my litmus test every time. So I know if my cheese is right, like the standard cheese pizza. If that is right, then I don't have to add these other variables to determine it. And my daughter just likes regular cheese pizza. She also likes Hawaiian pizza because she's an animal that likes.
Hawaiian pizza is also amazing.
Yes,
So.
it's not bad. Have you ever had Hawaiian pizza that also has bacon on it?
Usually, that's usually how I have
Ham,
it.
bacon, and pineapple.
I'm into that.
That plus like a chili honey glaze on top is phenomenal. Do you know where Hawaiian pizza originates, Scott?
Probably the U.S. or Canada, based on the way you're asking this question.
Canada.
Saskatchewan.
Canada. It's
Saskatchewan?
like it's from like
Winnipeg?
I think from like the Maritimes. From like I
Okay.
could be wrong on that. It's definitely Canada, but I think it's the Maritimes.
Okay.
So
Inuits were making Hawaiian
You can blame
pizza.
us.
Yeah, it's just they're in the igloos.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture. There's an old black and white picture.
Okay, yeah, they're just fucking with their they got like a stone out and they're like got a little pizza peel.
Yeah,
like
but
what happened?
instead of ham, it was seal blubber.
But see, that's why they have to cook pizza like real fast, because otherwise their house will melt.
Yes,
You can't
that's
cook
true.
things for a long time.
Yeah, this is now a history podcast, and everything we're saying is 100% accurate. All right, on to some hobby, eh?
Yeah. Hobby.
What did we worked on? Who wants to go first? Should we roll a d6 to see?
Do you have a D6 nearby?
I got a 4.
I got a 3.
I also got a 4. We gotta roll again.
All right.
Dumbest shit ever.
Oh, I think you have the. Did you probably didn't bring anything, right?
I didn't. Just so for the listeners, we probably already have caught up, but I'm going to catch you all up. Is that Jeremy's here because they're on their way through to go to Adepticon, and we're going to talk about prepping Jeremy for his first Adepticon cherry popping. But because of that, the things about what we painted, based on when this episode comes out, maybe a little bit behind. So I'm going to talk about what I painted,
Is
which
this gonna come
was
out after Adepticon?
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
will be my Golden Demon piece. So that's what I've been.
Congratulations! I'm sorry. You can edit that later.
Or
Have to
sorry.
go over it.
Congratulations or sorry. So yeah, I'm either ecstatic.
I thought you were saying congratulations because he finished. Because that is also a huge
Hold
milestone.
on. Congratulations on your achievement. I'm glad that you won. Congratulations on your achievement. I'm sorry that it didn't win. Now your editor can
Okay,
make
now we
use
can
the
pick which one.
appropriate
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just keep them both in because it's kind of hilarious.
Do I have to like do 2 different reactions?
Yeah, can you cry a little bit right
No,
now?
you can just cry for both.
Yeah. I will cry if I don't win. I cry. I don't remember if I even told anybody this. I cried last year when I didn't win.
Oh.
But no one saw.
No one saw, but like I guess I'll tell Goody Peepees now. Like I was just like rock bottom. So if I lose this year, it'll be 10 times worse than last year. 'Cause
Oh,
I feel like I am so balls deep this year. Like I tried as hard as I could try. I look back at it. I'm like, I learned a lot of things. I know it could be better. I found ways that I think I can be a better painter from this whole experience. So I'm trying to lean on that. But I'm also where we sit today, as of this recording right now. I go in these emotional ebbs and flows, and I'm in an emotional low right now. Now, this time tomorrow, or like, as we're there and I'm seeing other people's stuff in the case, I might feel pumped or like I'm feeling really good, or I don't know. It's a whole freaking mess. But yes, I finished as of yesterday.
Oh boy.
I glued the models down. I did their final look through, and I am officially. It's in the case. I'm not looking at it. I'm not touching it.
Are they going to break these ones?
You know, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I went through, and this year the first time it's full online form to register a piece for Adepticon Golden Demon. It used to be up until last year a physical piece of paper, like you had to print off at home
And mail it?
You just bring it with you, and you hand them that, and you hand in your piece or whatever. Now it's all online, so I'm prepping for this to be an utter shit show, and they'll somehow not be able to connect you up there with your needing the app to work for them to find it on the Google form or something.
What happens if your piece wins, but it's like someone else's form that got attached?
They've called out the wrong winners before.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
It does.
Golden
It
Demon
does.
winners.
That's bad.
Yeah.
It is real. It was real awkward.
Yeah.
For all it there, but yeah. So on that form. And I went back and I checked their previous online form from previous years. They have added an entire extra paragraph.
Oh.
And this whole paragraph spells out at length
How they're
not responsible for any damage at any point, including damage during judging, damage during handling with the cases, or damage of any sort outside of when you have given it to them and they give it back. I'm like, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't
Honestly,
always there.
100%. That
Like,
should be there. Yeah.
as shitty as it is, yeah, I get like that's got to be in there.
And I don't hold any grudges. Like things happen. There have 700 pieces that they had to go through and judge and photograph and do everything. Like things are going to happen. You have little tiny plastic spindly bits. That's whatever. I'm not gonna not over exaggerate that for the content, but I don't feel bad personally about it.
Yeah. So I got asked to be a guest on a podcast, and the question they asked me was like, can you send along 4 to 6 models that like were impactful to you during your painting career that we can talk about, or like that I can see for reference about, how you've grown as a miniature painter. And when I was looking through my history of miniatures and picking ones out, a lot of the ones that I wanted to pick and did end up picking were the ones that are single figs or were single pieces that I put a fuckload of effort into. And I really think about those with a lot of admiration, and I feel proud of them and stuff like that. And so this weekend's going to be stressful because it's kind of always stressful because you're always thinking about it. And if you lose, it's going to suck. But really, in a year, in 6 months, you're just going to look at that stuff and you're going to feel so good that you did that. And like in the other one too, the other diorama, and then the first piece that you had of the Dark Eldar thing, and it's just going to keep growing. And it's going to just be so cool. And it's the kind of thing you show someone when they come over, right?
Yeah.
Look at this fucking thing. And it just blows people's minds. So
I took my parents to lunch on Monday. They came over because their freezer's stocked and I had extra freezer room. So we do this whole we have like a wild game, a wild game as in
ride share.
Where we have so much freezer space, and we make sure that amongst my brother, myself, and my parents that all of the venison, the bear, the elk, the antelope, and then the pigs that my brother raises and then we slaughter every year, that like we're all spread out. So my dad had come to give me some more meat, and then I'm like, hey, let me take you guys out to lunch. And then my mom was showing me on a quilt that she's making. My mom does these fancy quilts that are like, right now she's doing one that's all black and white, and it's like it's a moose. It's a big moose, and then she's just adding like a rusty red for sumac leaves around it. So she showed me this, and I'm like, well, when we come back home, I'll show you my piece. And so I showed my parents my piece, and this is kind of the first time I really felt like they got it. Like my mom really appreciated when like I painted a bust for her. I've showed her some larger scale stuff, but from like gaming scale models, they've seen my D&D stuff over the years. They've seen like single
something
figures
that had nothing for them to relate to make it
right. But it's like an actual scene, and then my dad's like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, there's like rumbled wall here. They're defending it." I'm like, "That's what happens." My dad, who doesn't know anything about miniatures, he could see what I was trying to do, and so back to what you're saying, Scott. Like I look back at my piece from last year, the vampire diorama,
so epic,
and it makes me happy now. There was like this burnt period where I'm just like frustrated and see all the faults and why I didn't win. So my brain was focusing on the things that caused me to think negatively about it, and the more I'm removed from it, the more fondly I look upon it. And you're right, this one I think I'm gonna do the same thing. And I just kept this last week where it was me getting a bunch of feedback from amazing people, painters, award-winning painters that I'm just like, just rip it apart. And me just like fixing tiny little things. I was just like, in order for me to get through this, I need to recognize that just like in anything in life, if it comes easy, you don't get the satisfaction, you don't get the learning. If it's something that you grind over and you really pour yourself into, that's where you grow, and that's where you look back at your life, no matter what it is in your life, the things you worked hardest for are the things that bring you the most satisfaction. So I don't think that I need to do this all the time, but every time I get to the end of it, I'm glad that I did, and I am glad that I did it.
Okay.
So that's what I painted.
Best of luck. Best of luck.
And we'll
All
show pictures now of the final piece even.
Yeah. All right. Jeremy, what did you work on in the hobby? A piece of terrain, some minis?
So you know how like YouTubers notoriously like to do these dumb videos where like, I'm going to paint 1 million minis in one weekend
Fucking
or some
YouTubers.
shit like that.
Yeah,
And people are like, why are you doing it like that? Why are you rushing it? Why do you have these like imposed time? That's not real life. Turns out that when you design a game and then you want to do a bunch of demos, but you don't want your the official models that you painted for the book and everything to get manhandled by a bunch of people, that you suddenly say, oh man, we got a game demo in a week and a half, and I have to print out and paint what did I end up doing? Something like 70 models or something like that.
Yeah, that video actually, you made a video about that process.
Did I?
And
I remember.
and
I think I mentioned it in a video, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I thought I commented on one of your videos recently. I thought it was that one where you made the demo set for that convention you went to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. I also made a whole thing, a set of terrain, which we have here today, which isn't like the best, but it was like all of this stuff that we teach and like bullshit about like how you can get this done fast. And it's like, why would anyone ever need to do that? I actually had to like implement all these things that I've been like bullshitting about and actually had to do it, and it worked great.
Okay.
It was really good.
Yeah. It was one of those videos that kind of keep hitting. It was like you just did more things and then more things.
And there was so much more stuff outside that video. Like it just was
It's just like a weird movie script where it's like, little did he know, every moment from his life led up to this. He was prepared from all the training.
It's like there's like a flashback of me like doing all the old videos, like
yeah. Young Jeremy, yeah.
Also, when people say, why would anyone ever do that? Why do people need to paint something so fast?
Well, they've never been a game master in D&D.
Yes.
Game
master in D&D. Oh shit, I got to get 7 of these kobolds painted for the party to fight. Also, they've never had the time crunch of, oh shit, I got a Warhammer tournament this weekend. And I need to get these painted. That happens more often than the opposite, where you actually have it all painted prior. That happens so much. There's a reason why we make those videos, because those videos do well. And those videos do well because a lot of people
used to do well.
Just procrastinate. I haven't done one in quite a while. But I was going to again, but thanks. Now I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think they still are going to like get a baseline of like 100K views, 80K views, something like that. But they're not going to get like 400, 500 like they kind of used to.
Yeah.
But, not everyone also paints for enjoyment. People paint as a means to an end. And so they're going to like to paint fast. They're not going to want to spend a bunch of time.
And I learned shit doing that I hadn't even like considered before, where I painted 4 factions that each have 9 models in them, and I was like, how do I do this quickly? And since I was magnetizing them, I'm like, I just put they weren't magnetized yet. I like double-sided taped 9 models to like an IKEA lid, one for each faction, and it was just like in the airbrush spray booth, like holding 9 models like this, and like doing all that, and then basically picking like a simple scheme for every single one of them that I could blast out, because I painted them all at the same time. It wasn't like one then the other. It's like I had all 4 going, and it was like 4 base coats, and then took them to the table and like all the silver on all these models. But it was fast, and I've never pushed it that far of I painted a lot of stuff at once before, but not literally attached to one board where I can't physically reach this angle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And it's fast because you don't got to pick things up and put them down repeatedly. You don't got to find the model in the group of 36 that is this part of this faction. They're all together. So that does impact, especially when you're painting that quantity of models.
Yeah, the nice thing about it, though, is that it's not like I was painting models from some game that has like a set lore and look. And it does, but it's mine. So if I'm like, I'm lazy, these guys don't have eyes, it's because they don't have eyes.
Yeah, because you made that choice.
Right? Technically, people can do whatever they want with it within that game, but it's like I have no rules that I need to follow because anything I define is canon. So
that's a nice bit of freedom.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a game right now. We have yet to literally name it.
Yeah.
What's the game? Or people find it?
Okay,
give us a little intro here.
The game is called Idols of Torment, which anyone who watches my channel is probably sick of hearing about. Sorry, I care about it. What are you going to do?
You feel that way because you've been talking to not only your channel, but also your wife and your friends and all this stuff. But they've heard about it like 3 times.
Yeah, your listeners, a lot of them may have never heard. So it is a miniature agnostic skirmish game. It is has a very specific aesthetic that you will like or you won't. It has a theme that's very
there's a target audience
strong. There's a target audience. It's very dark. It's like if black metal and horror movies was a tabletop skirmish game, it would be this game. I think one thing I said when we started it, maybe when we did the Kickstarter, was like, this is my love letter to horror and gaming combined.
What movie influenced the design of the models the most?
So each faction kind of has a movie or genre of horror that influenced it individually. If you really look at it.
Give us one.
But the one that I would say the most, because it actually influenced 2 factions, is Hellraiser.
Of course.
Yeah.
Fucking Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Very nice. And you can we have the link to Idols of Torment down in the show notes and description below, depending on where you're listening. We're going to talk about it more later in the main topic, but wanted to make sure we got that out there earlier. Okay.
What'd you paint, Scott?
I finished up my Cawdor gang. So they're all done.
Oh. Yeah. So I was looking at those Necromunda gangs, and the one that I really most liked, everyone in the comments from the last video said that, or the last episode of the podcast said that it's like too strong and broken.
Vansar.
Yeah. No, not Vansar. It's the blood raven. No, blood hound. They look like corn guys.
Oh, they have the corpse grinder cults.
Corpse grinders.
Yes.
You know what my favorite part about that is? Can you guess what my favorite part about that is?
The little wieners that
the wieners.
Yeah.
Is there wieners?
Yeah, they're underneath. You got to look under the kilts. He sculpted them each on.
Some are cut, some aren't. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, the pink candle flames, I think, is really nice.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yes, I got those guys all done for a video that I'm working on right now that I'm spending far too long on filming and doing photography and stuff. I got a really cool set of terrain from the guy who runs my campaign. And I never have terrain when I do videography. I'm always shooting on a white backdrop with an LED on it. And so I got to do all these really cool setups. And I got to use my fog machine, and I did this funny trick, a trick where you cool down the fog, with a fog chiller, and it makes it
heavier?
super low lying. Yeah,
So it makes it more like dry ice?
Exactly, yeah. And I was, shooting in slow-mo, so the smoke looks like, kind of realistic, and I was having just so much fun. I set up this huge thing on the gaming table yesterday, too, to get one shot that's going to last 5 seconds. But, it was just so much fun to do. So, yeah, they're done. Feel super proud of them. I'll probably have to.
So good, dude.
Thank you. Yeah.
So good.
I'll probably have to add some more guys to them at some point, but the next edition I'm going to make is going to be just a single model that's a little bit bigger and more expensive. So it's not going to be more like chaff and gangers. But yeah, I feel really good about them. I think that all the greens are a little bit different, but I don't think it really matters.
No.
I think the level of quality, while it does vary from model to model, I don't think it's distractingly different.
Nope.
And yeah, I'm really happy with that. I've always wanted to kind of convert a small warband of miniatures for a skirmish game and have them feel unique and like mine. And while I didn't do it a ton on this warband, I did it a little bit, and so I kind of got my fix. But now I want to do it again. Now I want to do Mordheim. Now I want to do You're Freaking Me Out, or something else like that, where you can do even more conversion.
It's just the Blizzard test.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
The Dairy Queen Blizzard.
Yeah.
You know, Is if it scoops. I've never seen that where they do that, and the blizzard actually just
No,
falls
Also, it's
out.
like,
I
what's
mean-
the point? Because as soon as I walk outside, it's just a melted mess.
I know.
It's like cool. It's
it's a
really
bit.
cold at first.
Yeah, it's
a
ice
bit.
cream. Surprise, ice cream sticks to the inside of a cup. And also, this ice cream sticks to the metal plate.
Indeed, that would be bad. You would not want.
This chrome sword is very chrome.
I know.
That is
Yeah.
like
It gets a lot of use. It's like it's sharpened by going
By
through
blood?
so many bones and bits of armor.
I figure, I didn't weather it enough. I should have weathered it more. I think if I painted it with that chrome paint and then actually not only painted in the large chunks that had the actual pitting in it in the sculpt, but also dabbed it with a sponge to make little tiny flecks of stuff, that would have given it a more of the look that I was going for. But yeah, he's sharpening it, so it's supposed to look ultra sharp and stand out. Yeah, it's Jedediah right there, man. He's here to slay.
He is. Yeah, that's
That's
I
me.
mean, I really feel, and I think I may have said this before to you, that that epitomizes what I feel like is your perfect lane of you can paint your really precise, clean, smooth style and add variety to it without feeling the overwhelming nature of a full-scale war game.
yeah.
Yes.
And not feel so rushed, because those don't feel rushed, but they also, I can tell that's between each figure between 60 and 70% ball sack from you. Am I about right?
Yeah, I would say probably leaning more into the 70% because I feel like that last 30% is all just hours behind the brush.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends. If you want to measure it in hours, I could spend 3 times as long as I already have making that competition grade.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how much that equates to percentage wise. But yeah, from a curb appeal standpoint, I would say that's 70% for sure. Yeah, much more futzing isn't going to make him look that much better.
Right. Yeah. That last X number of percent does not equate to an equal amount of hours.
Yeah, it's painting those wieners under the kilt, that no one
Also,
can see.
do you really want to put in that much more effort on something that you're going to play with? Realistically, I don't do
know.
nice painting, right? But I'm just trying to think, if it's models that you're going to be taking places, you're actually going to be handling them, playing them. Do you want to bring them to that level of display model?
It's not a question that I really ask a lot. It's kind of more am I going to enter this in a competition or not? And then if I do, then I will, and if not, then I won't. But if I'm gaming with it, it's kind of irrelevant. But that is a very valid question. I don't know if you know the website Volomir. He paints Golden Demon winning Underworlds kits and then goes and plays in tournaments with them.
Wow.
So he's okay with it, but that's an incredibly reasonable concern.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never done it. I would probably try to avoid it.
But when you
depends.
know you're going to be playing with these models, you're definitely approaching it with that in mind, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Or it's kind of, it depends on how I'm feeling. If I want to spend a lot of time on these things and make them look nice, then I will. Or if I want to spend a lot of time on one guy and make him look nice, then I will. Stuff like that. Kind of depends on the moment. But yeah, is that all for our hobby goodness?
Yeah, we are hobbying hard
we
amongst
are
the three of us.
We are. All right, on to the main topic, which is you. Go.
Yeah, Jeremy, Black Magic Craft. I don't think we said that yet, just in case anyone doesn't know.
I think you did.
You had an interesting question that I think would be good to start from.
You want to start with my
Would you like me to tell you about how Canadian cheesies are superior to American ones?
cheesies? What's a cheesy?
Oh, you would call them a
Wait,
Cheeto.
snack.
Sure.
Cheeto.
Snack review.
Oh,
No.
do we want to do snack
No, we
review
don't have to
now?
do that yet. That can be.
Okay,
later.
we do that after
That's,
the
we
main
get a
topic.
little
We don't want that. We don't want them to stop
post main
listening yet.
topic snack.
Yeah, that's our treat for doing well.
Yeah.
or a terrible idea. It's not anything fish flavored, so you guys can rest easy on that.
Okay. And you're not gonna make him do smelling salts,
Oh, I have those here.
I've never done them.
brother.
I'm sure they've milded because it's been cracked for a while enough.
That's
Like,
Wow.
despite being from a very hockey forward place.
Yeah, that's a part of your genetics.
And
Like you're
you
gonna.
always wonder, man, I wonder what that's like.
Okay.
Not yet. Wait, how long does this impact?
It's very short. It's
very
very short. So it's very instantaneous and immediate, and it'll go away in 20, 30 seconds.
I have a very large nose. Is that
All right,
going to
so
make it
here's-
worse?
I gotta explain to you how to do it.
I cannot believe.
All right, so the most important step for this is that after you do it, you don't fling your arms in the air and get the stuff everywhere. So you
Just do a whip.
It's like a sugar pack, right? Like
you just you'll open it over here, you go, and then you put it back.
Oh, that's not individual packs. That's like
no,
one
and it's the whole
thing.
bottle. It's gonna look like cocaine in here.
really, like,
Maybe it is cocaine. That's why it's so good.
Just
do
quick
not
sniff.
do not linger. Yeah.
And then your brain's gonna reset, and then you're gonna be fine.
How about what if I hold it, you just run your
that's
nose
better
by
because
it?
I might throw it.
Yeah.
Like I might eat that
John
thing.
John had me do it when I was recovering from being sick, and so I was coughing just normally,
Oh,
and then,
no.
then I did that, and I was like dying for the rest of the fucking podcast.
But I want him to control what he does and
Okay.
pulls it back.
That's
though.
fine. That's fine.
If you spill it, it's fine. You're not gonna spill it though. You're not gonna spill it.
Now I'm worried.
It's not that bad. Oh, I can smell it over here.
Was that too short?
I don't know how was
I
it?
felt it, but it was like not impactful.
You got to go up and go.
like his head kind of rolls back a little bit.
It's kind of like chlorine, isn't it?
He's
Did this lose its potency?
I'm guessing. Let me try.
That just smells like I'm smelling Vicks, to be honest.
oh, it like seared a passageway
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all.
down my
Not
esophagus.
bad at all. It's like it's very akin to like when you accidentally breathe in chlorine water in
Yeah.
the pool. It's like that times 100. This is wimpy now.
Is it?
No,
I'm not
actually,
taking a
cut
new one.
that. I just handled it so good.
Oh, it was so terrible.
I mean, that's just refreshing at this point because it's like,
Yeah, you need to wake up. Yeah, it's like that times 100, and it does wake you up.
Yeah.
But like your brain, it's like you get a blue screen on your brain for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're ready for the first question. You're wide awake now. See, it worked. You can get back in there.
that definitely helps with the shitty hotel coffee. It did not do its job.
Let's see if I can remember what my question was. Okay, so we were talking before we started recording, and I was saying that when I first got introduced to YouTube Haberino, my first exposure was to Jeremy and Black Magic Craft and a couple other, because I came from the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So we were building and creating all our own terrain and setting up stuff for scenes.
I
was
had no
DM.
idea. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I thought I told you that, but I guess not. So, but Jeremy's channel stood out to me a lot back then because, like, one, his production value combined with his ability to walk and talk you through things in a way that was relatable, and it didn't take hours. And he didn't show you everything, but you got the satisfaction of each step, so you felt like you're going along the way and you could achieve it. That was, at this point, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago.
October 2015 was when I first uploaded my video. So what first video? So that would be what, like 9 years ago.
9.
We're
Okay.
entering the 10th year.
Yes.
Bad at math.
So
2 months ahead of me.
So I recall, and it just feels like you've been there for as long as I've realized hobbies on
I've been
YouTube.
here the whole time.
So my question to you was, how has your hobby changed? How have you evolved as what you decide to do videos on? How does it evolved over time from back then to where you're at now? Is there any interesting learning things you've made along the way, or important things, both as a content creator, but also from like the hobby side? How has that influenced you?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you complimenting my production value on my iMovie videos that I made with a phone and non-white balanced.
But for the time, there was a low bar, and you were
honestly
jumping over it.
For the time, it's like I put music in my video, so it was like whoa,
Well, and then choosing what to keep.
appropriate stuff. Yeah,
it was really important.
Yeah, things have, like, I would say, changed multiple times over the last fucking decade. So I guess when I started, what's interesting is that if you look at my channel from beginning to end, you will actually see the progression of a hobbyist who was brand new and didn't know what they were doing to where I am now. So every stage, like I think someone who would come to start watching the channel now and see me say, hey, this is an easy thing for a beginner to do, they might say, yeah, right, it's not that easy, you know what you're doing. But when you go back, especially the old stuff, I actually was at the same level as the people I was teaching. And the first, handful of videos, like for the first year or two, was literally me going, I need to do this thing for D&D. How do I do it? I did it, and I'll just show them what I did. But I learned it that day. And I had the only skill I possessed above the people that I was trying to relay that to was the ability to relay that to them.
Yes.
Like I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. It's actually it just scales up.
Yes.
Um,
And I think that's more common than people realize.
Yeah. So I think that like the channel changed in the sense that like I changed in my skill set, and I've had, I think we could all say like in a long running channel phases of our channels, like certain periods.
Definitely.
And I think that, you know, after I kind of, let's say, peaked on beginner stuff and realized I had to move forward, I kind of hit this like nice area of, I realized I wasn't really teaching anymore. I was just like sharing my experience. And I decided in the back of my head that this isn't a tutorial channel anymore. It's an inspiration channel. And I was just trying to be like, this is what I'm working on and trying to inspire. And then I hit this odd period where I'm like, I want to be a big boy and do nice things. And people realize that I can make something beyond just like garbage glued together and craft paint. And be like, I can actually like sit here and talk to some competent artists and actually show what I'm doing. And I will say that I think that was like a faulty point in the channel's history.
Interesting.
There was this time when like everything I was doing converged from really beginner friendly D&D casual focus to a point in my life where I'm like, I could do some Warhammery type things. I could paint some things nicely. And that was a personal challenge that I wanted to like work through, but I'm not sure it was the best decision for the channel. And also at that time, YouTube as a platform changing, many other creators coming on. And I think after that was my like, I lost my balance and had a hard time finding my footing again. And I think like now and I think you're the same way, where we're kind of in this period of like trying to reconnect with what we are as content creators and like what our message is and just like what we're doing, right? And like after 10 years of making videos, like people, you'll say that comment, would you run out of ideas?
Never.
But also it's like, and if I did, fuck you. I've made 400 videos. Like, have you done 400 creative things that you've documented and shared with the world?
Yeah.
Like, there are days where I'm like, I don't know what to do, but it doesn't actually end either. Like,
No.
I don't think people realize the like drain that takes on a human being to be that creative on a schedule
Be a
for that long.
faucet,
Yeah,
just
like
turn it on and off.
it ain't. Sometimes the water's brown. I'm sorry. It's just like, but yeah. So I'd say right now I'm in a rediscovery phase of figuring out like who I am as a content creator, because also like I've moved into this world of game development, which is such like it's like I went into a different building of creativity. And it's not just game development; it's everything surrounding that. You know, like with like making miniatures and artwork and promotional stuff and just all these things. And I obviously am having that cross over into my channel because one, it would be stupid not to.
Right.
I have a platform, I might as well use it. But at the end of the day, it's like what I am doing and I'm interested in. But obviously my interest went from a very broad one of just wanting to play D&D with your buddies and some cheap stuff to like a very, like my game is a niche within a niche within a niche.
It is.
So trying to find this balance of portraying what I'm doing in an honest way, because I'm not playing D&D right now, right? I'm not. So if I'm making stuff for D&D, it's just for the channel, for the video. So yeah, trying to find topics and videos that are honest, but don't stray too far from what people are interested in. It's a tough thing to kind of figure out. And I think I'm not there, but I can see it coming. So
yeah. It's I think you touched on something that I also learned this year. It's something that's kind of natural to you when you first get started. Is like, I'm going to make videos that just keep servicing the same target audience and keep kind of hitting that same topic over and over again. And that's a best practice on YouTube. When like you just keep making a video, and it can differ a little bit, but for the same person. And then as a creative person, you kind of get bored of doing that. Like you kind of want to try something new. Like I want to paint full armies.
Spread your wings, right?
Yeah, you want to make a game. You want to do other things. But that also really tanks your viewership.
Yeah.
And so so I want to actually turn this question on you now. So one thing that John and I were both surprised by when you launched your Kickstarter for the campaign was that it was for a game and not for like a cheap set of terrain or something
Or
like
not
that.
like a book about how to make a dungeon in 12 easy steps.
Exactly. So obviously, was that something you made a conscious choice on? You're like, I know this is not the product that maybe my audience would come to expect from me, but this is for me. This is what I want to do. How did that process go?
So there had definitely been times previous to that where I think most YouTubers who hit a certain point are like, I should do a thing. I'm going to do a Kickstarter. Yeah. And you kind of like start thinking about it in your back of your head. And I had thought about different ideas. And one of them was like modular dungeon doors with clip out things and something that was like more on brand. But the thing is, those thoughts never hit that point of when you get obsessed with a thought because it really inspires you and you keep thinking about it and keep building on it. It just kind of fizzled out in the noise of everything else. And realistically, where it turned to a game was just that, like, me and my friend JP, we were really interested in the idea of developing a setting. So like the trajectory of this game didn't go like, let's make a game. What kind of game is it? Mechanics, setting, like lore. For us, it was more, I made a piece of terrain in a artistic block. It was one of those like January 1st videos where it just came out of Christmas break. I'm like, the video was literally, I don't know what to do. Here's the bits box. Yeah. That was the video.
Nice.
And I made one piece of terrain and it was like really unique to me looking. Like I'd never made anything like it. And I'm like, this is cool. Like, and I just started thinking like, where does this exist? Yeah. And I started building a world, but I was literally building it through terrain pieces and only having a vague concept of what this world was. I had no idea what context it existed in. And me and JP have, like, my development partner, have a musical history where we used to make music together and stuff. And we went from this terrain to saying like, let's write some music for this like soundtrack. And okay, well, we got to write a setting to go with that music and this terrain. Oh, but what's the point of having that if we like don't have like some game related thing to attach it to? Yeah. And originally it was just going to be like a 5e setting.
Sure.
That was the thing. And we realized that like it was right in the time, it was like peak COVID, where like we weren't playing D&D. So we're basically only hanging out with each other in our little bubble. We're like, wouldn't it be cool if we just like had a quick game that we could play with this? And it kind of, it started with us making a game that we could just play that was kind of for us. And we definitely approached the whole project with, we want to have a really cool, strong IP. Like we were making a setting, like we envision like graphic novels and stuff. Like we developed an IP and then let's make a game to attach that to. And we're not game designers. So let's just make a rule set that's good enough. That was the honest goal. However, once we start getting into game design, we realized that like there was an opportunity to actually really try to make a really good game. And I think we underestimated our abilities to do that and like people that we could lean on. And then it took over and we do have a game that like we really stand behind in terms of mechanics and like originality. And it is its own thing. Like I would never have said that even during the Kickstarter, because the Kickstarter, when it was launched, the IP was well developed, but the game was still foggy. We had early draft rules, but so much stuff actually got finalized and completed post Kickstarter, where we had this fear of, wait, like we have to provide something really good. Yeah. Because
you have all these people's investment in you.
And there was these, I'm the kind of person that will succeed out of spite.
I totally understand that statement.
And
like if someone thinks you're going to fail, or you're like, fuck you, I'm going to win.
When the Kickstarter launched, there was a very small, it was only like a handful of comments that were like, this is just a YouTuber cash grab.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like,
yeah, I feel that.
And people who thought it was just something I was going to do, take the money, release some garbage and walk away from it. And I'm like, no, this is actually something that I care about and something that's good. And we wanted to really make sure we delivered on that.
I love
and it
that.
slowed stuff down. Like it delayed our fulfillment, but we did fulfill within a reasonable time,
Congratulations.
which is
Big.
like not something everyone can say.
Not me.
I thought you. Well, okay. Technically, we're not 100% done. We have one outstanding piece of product to send out, which is the soundtrack that we're supposed to do first. But we got so wrapped up in everything else that creative process, like we haven't had the moment to like really breathe and just do it in the right mindset. So that is still outstanding.
Yeah.
However, that's fluff. That's not like the core product. Like people have the game, they're playing the game, like they have all their stuff. It's just they don't have the soundtrack. So, and yeah, we feel good about it. I think much in the same way that, you know, when you, as a content creator, you put something online and you're nervous in the first little bit for that like wave of
The reception.
like, of negativity. You know, like, did I misjudge what I'm doing?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Is this going to come off the wrong way? And like, you're worried you get a bunch of comments that kind of take the wind out of you and make you realize, oh, I missed the mark.
Yeah. You had the.
So
yeah.
that's a big pressure when you do a video that you spend a week or two making. But if you spend 2 years making a game,
That's
like,
that times 100.
less me, but more so JP. Like he was like just so scared. He's like, but what if people don't like the game?
Yeah. It's like, what if I'm in my own bubble?
What if
right?
he's like, what if there's a review and it's just like this game is shit?
It's gonna happen?
Just a shit game.
It's going to happen no matter what, even if your game's amazing.
And that's what I said. And I was like, listen, games that people love, you and I know those games are shit. Like they're like in a sense, there are games that I think are a shitty game. I don't like it. I don't like to play it.
Okay.
But it's wildly popular.
Yeah,
and people
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's going to be those people who will think that of us. And it's like, the game is just not for them.
Yeah. Also, the more popular it is, the more haters you're gonna have.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
That's how it works.
So, I mean, that was like pretty quickly alleviated when people started getting their stuff. And at the end of it, when people got their physical goods, I had this moment of like thinking back to that YouTuber cash grab comment and just being like, see, because we got a ton of messages in that week where the things were showing up people's doors and they're like, oh my God, the quality of this is so much higher than I expected.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't think the book would be this nice.
Yeah.
I didn't think the cards would be this high like, cause it wasn't, we didn't pull any punches. We got things made the way we wanted them to be made. And that resonated with people, and it was so validating to have people go, I can't believe how nice these are. It's like, that's right.
That's amazing.
Screw you, buddy, whoever you were 3 years ago.
You made a really cool comment that I want to touch on for all of us, where it's like when you have a lot of ideas bumming around in your head about what next creative pursuit you're going to take, and some fall to the wayside, some are more in the forefront. And I love the way you started developing a game, which essentially is with a piece of terrain, which is kind of like your bread and butter.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of curious for all of us here, when you get excited about a thing, and you want to engage in that thing, oftentimes it makes sense to do the creative thing that you are good at. For us, it's miniature painting. For you, it's making terrain. For others, it's illustrating. It's like, so like if I'm excited about, like, say, an IP, like right now I'm very into Dune, you know, I'm reading the Dune book. I want to paint Dune models. I want to play in a Dune RPG setting. I want to like immerse myself in this. Do you guys ever feel that way, where it's like you're excited about a thing? It could be anything. It doesn't need to be an IP. And you want to interact with it, and you do it in the way that you know how to. Is that it?
I like, it's a joke within my family and my marriage that there's a thing called going full Jeremy, which is like, I get very obsessed with a thing and I get really into it for a long period of time, and I go all out and I try to be, I don't want to say the best at it, but like I make that my life for a period of time. Like I hobby hard. And it's not just like this kind of hobby, but all of my hobby interests. So when I find something that I latch onto, it very, very quickly snowballs, and I get all the stuff and I immerse myself in research and I get into it. But then there will always hit a point with a lot of it where it crosses being a thing that I'm interested in to a thing that I'm doing or creating for.
Okay.
And I don't, how can I say this? I don't like to be bad at things, but I'm also not afraid of failure. I'm totally cool experimenting and failing. But the way I approach any creative task isn't, here is a thing and I want to do that thing. How do I do it? And what I look at is like, oh, here's a thing. what are the components of this? What is my skill set and what are my tools? And say this has like 5 components to it, and I have 2 skill sets and or tools or whatever that like align with that. I will figure out how I can focus those 2 things and make that the entirety of my creative process to make up for the things I'm lacking, if that makes sense. It's a very I would struggle to find like a easy, clear example.
It's like a language you know how to speak, right?
Of that. But for example, I like something like if you get a new tool, like a Cricut cutter, like which you have, I start to think, what are the limitations of this tool and what can this tool do? And then I look at, here's a hobby I have and something I like, and how can I make something really cool that's like beyond the scope of what this tool is supposed to do, but because I'm trying to create it within the limitations, it's like I can do that. And that's sort of how we designed the game, with what do I know and what do I don't, and how do we focus on the skills we really have, and kind of like put a magnifying glass on the things you're good at to kind of overshadow the stuff you're not, and then just knowing like where to reach out for help. Okay. Right? Like the things you're not good at, lean on other people.
Absolutely. How about you? You ever like done that?
Well, when you said that, it kind of reminded me of from when I was a little kid. Every new thing that I got excited about or interested in. So it went from like He-Man to Ninja Turtles to learning about comic books and getting really into comic books, and then learning about things like Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons. How I approached every one of those like cool little kid or nerdy little kid interests was through art. So if I was really interested in Ninja Turtles, I learned how to like draw Ninja Turtles. And so I'd be in school or whatever drawing in my notebook of Ninja Turtles, and then got into video games as a kid too. And then like my friend and I can remember to this day, we would make these big maps on a sheet of paper, and it was like a side-scrolling video game, right? And I kind of developed this kind of a video game that you could like play at school with your friends on paper. So it was, what you'd have is like you'd need certain levels or power-ups, and so it was kind of like doing just like a maze, right? Just if you pictured like doing a 2D maze on a piece of paper, but you'd have to figure out where your little character would go and who he'd have to kill and what their like power was, so you could kill them. And if you couldn't kill them, you'd have to go back because you died. And like it was a whole thing. I approached everything through art instead of just being like, I can't wait to get home tonight to play Double Dragon. And I was like, no, I can actually, my excitement for Double Dragon, I can put through art. Yeah. And so I guess looking back on it, that's kind of how I've approached everything, all the way up to like learning to paint miniatures, was because I really love Dungeons and Dragons. What better way for me to really like involve myself in Dungeons and Dragons in my spare time is to paint it. And then I saw you got to, oh my gosh, not only did I draw this thing of a Ninja Turtle at school, not only did I paint this miniature for my character in D&D, it actually got used. So that's where like this hobby became overwhelming, was taking art and then being like, but it's usable for the other thing I love. So I guess that's every way I approach everything.
Absolutely.
Apparently.
Brief movie review. Have you guys seen Dune Part 2?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
You're fine. You good?
We actually, it's funny, last night we went for dinner, and it was kind of late, and it was like right like near your place, and there was like
there's an AMC right
and
there.
We're like, are we up for Dune Part 2 after our 7-hour drive? And both of us were like, no, I want to save it for a better day when I've had more sleep.
That's smart.
If you would have messaged me and been like, yo, you want to see this? I would have fucking left my board game boys and been like, let's watch it. I loved it so much. All right. I have a million questions for Jeremy, but I want you to go. If you have any.
I started with a big one, which he did a great job with. So I want you to get some of your heavy hitters.
What happens when we have a guest on is I ask a million questions. He just sits over there and he looks sad, and I don't want him to be sad.
Yeah, I'm not sad.
He's my bro.
The time goes by. It goes by so
Jeremy's
fast.
holding John's hand right now. Oh, I love that. Okay, so I have a question about game development. What's one thing during the process that you did not expect that surprised you?
How long it would take to paint broad strokes. How can I define this? So you think like I have an idea and a general setting and a story. That's easy. Making small rules and specific decisions that fit within that is easy. But what's really hard is finalizing. It'd just be like in a movie. What are the rules, the logic rules of this universe? And there's certain things when you're painting a big picture, you have to have certain key elements where you say, this is like this, it's because of this, and it can't be like this. So that when you go down the line for smaller decisions, they have to fit backwards into that role. And that's very easy to do in a universe that's well-defined. Like, if you wanted to write some fan fiction for Warhammer or Star Wars, or make a game for it, for like a little indie game inspired by it, you know what the general rules and history of that universe are. And if you're thinking of like, I'm going to make a plot line or a mechanic, you know instantly, will that break the universe's wider core foundation of rules? But when you're developing that foundation at the same time as the specifics, it can be very difficult and very hard to get past decision paralysis.
Do I want to lock myself into this idea?
There's certain points where you know we're like, once we lock this in, if we continue with this setting for 10 years, that's going to be that it's going to limit and it's going to come back. And we definitely had situations where we made decisions that really limited the future and the broader scope of this setting to facilitate the best zoomed in momentary picture game that, like, of the universe that we were making this game. And we said, you know what, that's okay, because this will exist in this moment in time, and we'll have to expand in different ways and find ways to work around these limitations. But yeah, just the sheer amount of whiteboard broad ideas, like charts with, you know, circles and interactions, and like how that operates can be really difficult. And for better or for worse, working with a small team, right? Like, it's just me and one other person. So that's great for a lot of efficiencies and just making decisions, but you don't have this wide net of people to bounce things off of, to go like, and you start getting tunnel vision about an idea, someone to go, hey, you know, like that you can't do that, or that's weird, or people are going to think this. So yeah, that took a long time.
Okay. You know, I never even considered that until when you reference like the Star Wars or Warhammer. Like, if you were to say, all right, Scott, you've got to go design a video game. Let's say it's going to be a RTS video game.
RTS, hell yeah.
Yeah. That takes place in the Star Wars universe. You immediately, all your decisions, you can just draw that line. You're backtracking everything up to what are the limitations of the world, what are the interesting figures or things or locations or storylines or big bad guys or resistance or Jedi, like all these things that you're like, oh, I'm just going to always lead them back. And if you don't have anything for that, you know,
like
fish
you're
hook
creating both at the same time.
Yeah, you can't make those micro decisions with any level of confidence because you're not tying them back.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense, and that's something I would never even considered until I was in the exact same position you were.
And I think that it's something that is more of an important thing in a genre piece.
Sure.
Whether it's a movie or a game or a book, when you get into like sci-fi, horror, fantasy, I feel like these things are much more important, because if you're setting something like, you know, if you're making like a historical war game, it's like, well, we kind of know that like people can't fly in real life. So you just don't go down, you just don't even think about it. But when you're doing a genre piece, it's like there really are no rules.
Yeah.
And like with horror specifically, because we're making kind of like a dark game and it's very heavily inspired by horror, something that people don't realize when they're watching horror movies sometimes is that when you see a villain, like a Freddy Krueger, and it's like, why is he scary? He's only scary or a threat when you understand the rules of that character. It's like, he can do this, but he can't do this, and why. The movie, a good horror movie, will never outright tell you that in an obvious way, but it will hint at it where you like just subconsciously know, I understand the rules of this universe.
Yeah.
And so you know, like, what can and can happen. But when you're doing a game, it's kind of it's like a much more of that going on.
So you know, and then that becomes a driving plot point for a movie, or maybe a driving plot point for the direction of how you want to have people experience your world through gaming, is drawing that line. So we're now fighting to fall asleep because we know that's only what Freddy can get us. So that's the plot point that we need to drive. So the audience can be like, I'm feeling the fear because I think one of them may have fallen asleep, but the other ones are awake. But no, it's like,
and like when you get into like gaming lore, and I know like that's a subject, right?
Yes.
And like, so if I said to you, John, I developed all this lore for my game, I want you to read it. Super cool. I know you don't give a shit. But the thing is, I want you to play the game. And if you play the game, I want that lore baked in a way that you don't have to read that.
Yes.
It's like, you don't have to know these rules, but I do.
Yep. You'll experience them naturally, and that will
and it
be
will create
fulfilling.
a pattern.
Yes.
It also just helps inform rule design and mechanic design.
I also just in general think that a game is much better if the mechanics are thematic.
Oh, for sure,
right?
absolutely,
and like make sense.
It helps for like also learning the rules as well.
Yes.
It makes sense
because it makes it more intuitive.
Yes,
right?
100%. Yeah, we actually discussed this. You know, it's like if you're playing a character who is an elf and whose name is Legolas, like you're gonna expect certain functions out of that character, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah,
I'm still thinking about okay, lore.
Okay, lore.
I think you touched on something that why I have such an aversion for lore, and it's not that lore exists.
No.
A lot of the greatest things, the greatest IPs, the greatest book series. You're talking about Dune. There's a vast amount of Dune lore. What bothers me about lore is that people get so entrenched in that because they're lazy about having you experience something that doesn't naturally bring you along.
Yeah.
So, no, you're telling me I have to read these 50,000 books to really understand why the Warhammer universe is the way it is, as approach to I can watch the first Star Wars movie. I don't need to understand it all, but the lore is rich in there, and that's what makes it fun to experience.
If you buy a new fancy blender to make your Ninjon smoothies,
yes,
you want to open it up, put it on the counter, pull out an instruction manual that's like, put fruit in and press this button.
Yes.
And experience that. Somewhere exists an expanded break-apart drawing with every component and what it does and why. You don't need to read that.
Right.
But that needs to exist.
Yes.
And I think that like deep lore is that expanded breakout chart.
Right.
And there is a tendency for people within fandoms to get stuck on those really technical charts and forget that you're making a smoothie.
The blender lore.
Right.
Blender lore.
It's deep. It runs deep.
I am really good at analogies.
Brent. Yeah.
That made sense. That was good. It was better than his fucking analogies.
No,
fucking ducks and shit.
Dude, that's right. That's going right on my list. It's like it's a way to
blender.
Yeah,
lore is like a blender if you really think about it.
Right. Well, the thing is, if you put a duck in a blender, okay, then and the whole world is ducks, all you've done is you've blended up the world.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Blending up the world, right? And then drinking the world, and then you are part of the world. So you, in fact, become a duck.
Galaxy brain.
It's kind of like, like a hot dog is just skin in like a meat sack.
Yeah.
So when you eat a hot dog, it's like you're the hot dog because it's just meat in your skin sack.
Yeah. So it's a meat sack in a meat sack.
Yeah.
So it's like a corn dog. You're a corn dog.
A corn dog.
We're all corn dogs. And the hot dogs inside of us were what we really loved all along.
I've been a great guest. Thanks for having me.
I've been a great guest.
Like how you just state that with confidence. I have been a great guest.
I'm done.
And that's it, actually. Thanks, Jeremy, for being on. Let's talk about the hobby a little bit and also YouTube a little bit. I want to know if at any point, people always talk about how when you make your hobby your job, it dies instantly. For you, did you ever lose joy in your hobby because of YouTube? Are you somewhere in the middle of that process? Have you reclaimed joy after having lost it? Where are you at?
I believe that a lot of the things that are let's say the content of my channel are things that brought me a lot of joy in the past and now don't as much. That is not because of YouTube solely or being a job or the grind. It's because I like to get interested in things and I get interested in a lot of things, and those interests change over time, and I keep remnants of those. So had YouTube never been in the picture, I still also would have like slowed down on making terrain and making things for D&D and maybe made a game or had other hobbies, just because that's how I operate as a human being. I think that being a content creator can accelerate that process, like make you go through it quicker.
Yeah.
But I've definitely, like, the things that I make videos about that say maybe don't inherently interest me on my own. Like, that's not what I would choose to do this day if I wasn't making a video. I have learned new ways to get enjoyment out of it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like where just the process of relaying it through the video becomes the part you enjoy versus the thing you're making. But definitely, like, that's a struggle, but I think that's just a struggle of people and interests. Like, people get into a hobby, they get obsessed with a thing, they do it for several years, and it slowly starts to dwindle, and then they take up another hobby and they go into that. The difference is that as content creators, you're kind of tied to always stay connected to something indefinitely, or risk bringing everyone along for the ride, which I feel like myself, and I would say you, dance with that a little bit.
Dancing,
like
trip and fall.
you try to bring people along and kind of bring in as much of other things as you can get away with.
Yeah. You got to really earn people's interest in your interests, right?
I will say, though, that at the end of the day, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, but as far as a full-time content creator, like, it's my full-time job, I think I'm on year 6, maybe. I can't remember at this point. It's been long enough. I never, in those 6 years, have had even a brief moment of like, fuck, I just want to go get a normal job. That doesn't happen, because if I take like 10 seconds to reflect on what I used to do to earn a living versus what I do now, I realize that anything I might be frustrated or annoyed by is so insignificant compared to other careers. Like, it's just, I will find myself in moments of frustration or, being annoyed by something to do with being a content creator. And then I check myself and go, like, listen, what you're doing is actually like an incredible thing to be able to do. Yep. Very fortunate. And I ground myself and go, like, sometimes you still just have to, like, put on your pants and go to work.
Right.
Like, but it sure beats the alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is one benefit of a lot of us that are content creators. At least, I don't know, I put myself in the middle group. There's a lot of newer content creators since I've been starting.
Yeah.
But a lot of us, what I would call middle to old guard. Like, we started this thing in our 30s or 40s. I was damn near 40 before I started. And so you have that to fall back on. It doesn't take you much to, like, dig back into your head and think of an average day or a good day at a regular job. And I was like, fuck this. I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
I think it's like that for anything in in any career that you've worked hard for. If you always think that, like, if you're going to do something that was your dream job, just like, like raising baby koalas at a zoo, like, if that's your dream job, like, you did that for a while and you're like,
you're going to have days where, like, I don't want to look at a fucking koala, man. I just want to.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're like, I know all these koalas got chlamydia, but at least I get to hang out with baby koalas all day, like, you just be happy for what you got. And I think it's probably a good approach in life in general, even if you're not exactly where you think you want to be or should be in your life. But it's just like, still push yourself, but also allow yourself a level of happiness and satisfaction, because you don't just want to be angry and upset all the time.
But even stuff like income, like, as a content creator, that's a vastly fluctuating business. And I rode through some pretty high times that was like, this is crazy. I can't believe I get to do what I'm doing and live this kind of, like, have this kind of comfort of life. And then things turn and things go down and you go, man, like, this industry is, like, dying financially. Oh my God. And you start to think, like, is this a sinking ship? Is this what I want to do? And then you say, whoa, hold on. As long as I continue to make more or as much as I did in some other job that's worse, it's fine. Like, and just give yourself that room and no, it's okay. Like, not every year is going to You had a crazy good year. You got to adapt to stuff. But at the end of the day, other jobs are worse. Like, that's it.
Well, and I've liked that your life experience, and I think we maybe talked about this way back when you were first on the podcast, but I like that you took an approach. Something that really resonated with me was that for our UK listeners, Jeremy was a tradie, right? So you worked.
I was a chippy.
A chippy.
A chippy. What is a chippy?
Carpenter.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's like my background profession on paper. But I was working as a contractor doing general home renovations. I was breaking my back and dealing with angry people and $1 million budgets for kitchens for rich people.
And always behind schedule, because everything is always behind schedule in construction. You just can't help it. So you always have that level of stress in your life. But I like that you brought a level of a real person in your background and your understanding of materials used in the trades to think about them in a different use. And that was always really interesting.
Well, that was the start of the channel. It was literally, I saw like DM Scotty and I was like, he's making really neat stuff, but like, why is he using cardboard? And I just think like, why don't you use this thing that's sitting on my job site, like this fucking magic foam?
Yeah.
Because I mean, people used that in wargaming terrain and stuff. It wasn't new. I didn't invent it, but I definitely really pushed to show like how versatile it really is and how much better suited it is than other stuff. And I still, to this day, every time I approach a build or project, think of it like a builder, like a contractor of like, this is what we need to build. These are kind of the steps we need to get there. We can do this out of this material, and kind of break it down. And every hobby project I do is approached in kind of the exact same mental way that renovating a bathroom works. It's just a series of steps, but like figuring out what those steps are and what best material and save time. And
it's the kind of thing that I think we could see if you were to analyze a bunch of different hobby YouTubers, ones that we all like and enjoy, that their life experience or how they approach things, whether it's related to how they were brought up or their background or their education, or even like what part of their country or their town did they grow up in, the life experiences, that you see that on their videos. And that's what really makes them unique. And I think as a viewer, the goal is that not be bonked over the head with that, but like that's,
but
like,
it to be subtly there.
But it's there. It's like, that's who that person is. That makes them unique. And then as someone who makes videos, I think it's great to embrace that and to be like, well, this is who I am. And this is less of a stress on me or a work to create something that I'm not, and just approach it with that.
And that's what I was talking about when I say I want to do something. I look at the things that make it good and what are the tools and skills that I have that fit with that. I want to make YouTube hobby videos. I'm not a good painter. I don't know shit about Warhammer. Like, I'm just like a relatively new D&D player. I know nothing about video production. How do I, like, those are pretty important things.
It sounds like you maybe should have second guessed yourself there a little bit.
However, then I said, well, I am not to toot my own horn, but a certified master renovator that's won many gold awards. I've won many golden demons in bathrooms.
Wow. Check out this guy. Fucking Richard Gray of the toilet over here.
I understand materials. I understand building. So it's like I can do that and I can lean into that. I don't understand video editing at all, but I understand linear-based audio editing because I produced a lot of music. Well, I can make sure the sound is good on these videos. And that's something a lot of people failed on 10 years ago on YouTube.
True. That was very frustrating as a watcher.
The other thing I was good at, because at the end of my career, I was no longer on the tools. I was a construction manager. So it was my daily task to explain needs of what we need done to a variety of different people who were of very different levels of intelligence and skill, and adapt my language and communication skills to each different tradesperson I was talking to get the job done. So what I tried to do, and what I think I did, is I said, okay, now, as a YouTuber, I can't talk to each viewer individually and adjust my language to meet that person. So let's try to find like a narrow, like specific language type and way of speaking and tone and instructional, what order of operations that is the most universally understandable
Yep.
And I feel like this is a flaw that I saw and still see on a vast amount of any sort of tutorial YouTube. A lot of people don't understand the best way to introduce the steps. Sometimes it's not linear, and like what information is needed when. And that came in very handy when we were writing a rule book. Right? Like, how do we introduce the rules in a way that's organic? It's like, if I tell them this piece of information, they don't know the context of that. So we have to introduce this other thing first. And like, that's one thing we put a lot of work into in the rule book, is making sure that when you read it, it's like a smooth, linear learning experience. Like, not learning, but like soaking in kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, that is what I did at the start of YouTube, and I think that's what you watched and connected to. And what that actually was me making sure that drywallers got their job done on time.
Yeah.
That's where that skill set like comes from, and I feel like that has always stayed with me to this day. Like, I have a lot of dislike and bad memories for that career, but I am internally grateful for the many, many skills it gave me. And it's not just like skills of like how to put in a toilet, right?
Sure.
It's like how to deal with people and
how to
other
talk to
things. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. I have one last big question for you about your game. In a world where people have endless options for not only miniature war games, but specifically fantasy skirmish war games, like, why should they choose yours? Like, what's the differentiating factor?
I think if someone looks at the artwork and goes, that's fucking cool. That's it. Like, it's like, does this speak to you aesthetically? Because at the end of the day, all of these games and models we play are just skins on relatively similar games, right? We could sit here and talk about the differences in mechanics and gameplay between how like Marvel Crisis Protocol is like this, and Warhammer 40K is like this, and there's a lot of differences. But you take a random guy who's never played either, they're the same thing. They're the same game. So at the end of the day, we're just all looking for the skin on that framework that appeals to us and gets us excited to sit there in between playing the game. And like, I want to, like, are you like really into painting blaster rifles or tentacles? You like tentacles? Come to my game, right? Like, and I think it's just that vibe. And now there's also, I would say though, that mechanically, I dislike a lot of games, and I played a lot of games and never played them again because I didn't like the way they worked. So I made a game that would appeal to me in that sense. And I think there's a lot of other people like me. And I would specifically think that a lot of people who aren't coming from a wargaming background, but are coming from a role-playing background, will feel very comfortable. Like, I think the leap from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition to Warhammer 40K is a much bigger leap than it is to my game. I think like when you're doing combat, you're like, I understand this. Oh, I roll with advantage. Like there's there's a familiarity there, and just the fact that it's not too overwhelming in terms of scope. Like, the games are fairly short. There's no list building. It's not super competitive. It's just fun. It's like each player has the same set of tools. So I think if you are a super competitive person, like Scott, you might not like the game very much, actually. If you're a list builder and like hardcore competitive and want to play tournaments, that's not what the game we made. Okay. We made a game that is just meant to be like immersive and fun and thematic.
That's exactly what Necromunda is. And
it is.
I fucking love that game.
Yeah. I would say that like our game would live very comfortably in the same world as like Necromunda and Mordheim. Like, that is sort of the type of game it is if you're just like looking at it at a glance, just with a different theme, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with you. I think very often the rule set for me just has to be good enough, or it needs to like meet whatever my expectations are. And as long as it's got cool models and a cool setting that I can like really, get stuck into and interact with in a variety of ways, painting models, playing board games of, watching movies of, reading books of, whatever it is, then it's cool. It's interesting. I really do a lot earlier on take for granted the theme and how important theme is for attachment to a game. But you're totally right. If you're into the theme, then you should try the game out at the very least.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That was my last question. John, you got any more questions?
Are you boys ready for snacks? That's my last question.
ready for
Okay, so this is also something that I've imported.
Did you import it from 7-Eleven?
I did not import it from 7-Eleven. I imported it, and it was brought to me by a trader. So the trader goes from route to route all over the Orient through the Indies.
Trader or traitor?
Trader.
Oh,
So
I thought you said traitor, and I thought you meant it was from England.
Wait, aren't we the,
Oh, yeah, you're the traitor.
we're the traders of England.
Yeah, whatever.
No,
mean, maybe they-
no. They're the traders.
No, this is a trader that he goes all over the world in a large boat, and
With his
then
wares.
yes, with his wares, and he's built these little shops in everywhere across the country. His name is Trader Joe.
That was sweet. Wow, man.
We got there. So
I thought he just bought it off some guy in a lake in Minnesota.
yes, yes, yeah. He just sells me like honeyed minnows or something. This is actually a product of Vietnam, which will make sense.
That's good. That's a good start.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I love East Asian snack foods.
So this is an interesting one. It's like a East Asian snack food that they wanted to make sure is Americanized enough so it didn't scare our humble little Midwestern palates.
Okay.
It's got a really long name. Like, I feel like they should have come up with a snappier name, but it's called the Sweet and Salty Umami Crunchies.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Umami's my favorite flavor.
Yes. So it's almost like they're like, we know that you guys aren't going to quite understand what umami is, generic Midwestern white people, so we'll put sweet and salty up front, So these are rice crackers, and they look like hash browns, like little hash brown nuggets. I'll pick one out so you can see. So they look like the hash browns, like a little breakfast hash browns.
Smushed, yeah.
A really small one.
And I'll just let you experience. Take a couple, pass down the bag.
Let's avoid eating into the mics if possible.
Yeah. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. I'll let you guys go. I can enunciate while you guys are chewing here, and I can tell they've experienced the crunch.
They're good.
Crunch. You have to also experience the sucking on them and not crunching them away.
My first reaction is that this is hash brown cereal.
Uh-huh.
And for breakfast, you put some milk on this. It's like hash brown cereal.
Yeah, just like put them over scrambled eggs in a bowl instead of milk. Okay. They're fairly mild, right? Not a ton of flavor.
Good. They taste just like it's in some kind of like party mix, like a Chex Mix sort of thing that we get.
The poofed rice.
There's those balls that are, and also sometimes those crackers that are curved.
They're kind of like a Cheez-It, but not really a Cheez-It.
That's kind of what this is. But this has a nice like toast flavor.
Yes.
It tastes like toast.
Yeah, there's a little. Yeah, I think that bit of butteriness, unctuousness at the end is the umami, but there's obviously a sweet and a salty.
I would buy that.
They are. Are they good? Are they unique? I thought they were unique.
They're pretty mild in flavor. So did you say like there's like fish in or something like that? I thought it was gonna be like kind of fishy.
No, I said there's not. It's not fish flavored.
Not. Oh,
today.
so okay. So okay, that's what you said.
I wasn't gonna bring you like squid balls or anything.
I'm down for squid balls. Yeah, I think it's all right. I don't think I would buy it because it's not a whole lot of.
It's not super memorable.
Yes,
But you know what it is? It's like a word that I learned recently about snacks. It's very Moorish. Do you know that?
no.
Moorish is something that like you eat one, you're like, that's all right. But you just kind of want to keep eating it.
Yes,
Absolutely, it is. That's
Yes,
That's why they're dangerous.
It's not gonna overwhelm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would eat it again for sure.
So, out of a scale of 1 to 10 ducks, how many ducks?
6 ducks.
6 out of 10 ducks.
I'd give it a 7.
Yeah. I'm right around a 7.5 with them. Moorish is that's exactly it. Like we bought this.
Ducks. You cut a duck in half.
Yeah, sometimes you got to sacrifice a duck for your ratings.
This is how I'll rate it, is that while I am in the America for the next week, if I come across a Trader Joe's and I'm in one, I would buy that and eat it. But I'm not going to buy any to take home.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
It's not a like novelty.
I need to
bring
share
home to the
everyone.
family.
Yeah.
No, it's not Dot's Pretzels.
Yes.
Hey!
That's a really tough one to peak, but it's exactly it. We bought them the second time, and the first time my wife ate almost a whole bag, and I had a couple, and I was like, they're okay. And then the second time we got them, she bought 2 bags. This is the second of our 2 bags, and I found myself sitting watching the Great Pottery Throwdown, and I was like, fuck, I've eaten like 50 of these, and I didn't even notice it.
Like, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, I could go in for another.
Yeah, you get another handful, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we're going to do in the after party is we're going to sit here and eat snacks this the entire time.
Into the microphone.
Loudly
Chewing and talking together. Nothing could be better. So that is today's snack review. Make sure that if you go to Trader Joe's, or don't go to Trader Joe's, we're not sponsored. I don't give a shit. One of us needs to come up with our own snack. It's like in The Office.
He does. You're the snack man.
It's like,
I mean, that should be like I should have a snack channel. I should make snacks, but you know.
I feel like there's an untapped potential there. It's like in The Office where some of the warehouse workers won the lotto, and so they all quit their jobs, and then one of the guys makes an energy drink. I'm not going to talk about the specifics of that energy drink, but there's an energy drink that's made with a specific audience in mind. And I'm just like, yeah, why couldn't we come up with like, an energy drink that you drink while you're painting miniatures, so you have no attention span, and like you're just so jittery that you can't paint eyeballs, so it's your excuse not to paint eyeballs. You just blame us.
Tendy flavored energy drink.
You know, those little snacks there are a great gaming snack.
They are.
They got no residue.
Got no residue, but you can keep popping them.
Yeah.
Do you eat gaming snacks with chopsticks while you're
No.
playing? No, you don't go that far.
No, but I am one of those people that like when I snack or eat, I obsessively clean my hands. Like after a meal, I got to wash them.
Yeah.
So I don't like having anything on my hands ever,
Yeah.
let alone when I'm playing a game.
Yeah.
So I will tend to gravitate to clean, dry snack food or not snack too much.
Okay.
Then you put a movie on, and I'm just gonna like
Just kind of like wipe it all over.
With food question follow up. So, Jeremy, have you been to Chicago before?
no.
Okay, we're not going to be in Chicago proper. So if you wanted to be, we're like in a
My understanding is that we are in the Scranton of Chicago. Is that accurate?
Wow.
That's accurate,
Yes,
yes.
it is.
Okay.
So there is opportunities for you to see Chicago
We
proper.
plan on trying to make it in for one day.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, they do that. But speaking of food, did you have a certain Chicago food or something that they're known for?
There's two things. One is that I've never experienced a real proper deep dish pizza.
Okay.
Like it's just my experience with deep dish pizza comes from Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what.
try it for better or worse.
Be prepared to be unimpressed.
I expect that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that good,
It's not.
but I want to do it. The other thing is I'm really tempted to go to a steakhouse because
Can I come with you?
Yes. When I order steak in a restaurant, the way I order a steak is Chicago style. And that's something that I would say 50% of the, like, actually every steakhouse I go to knows what that is. But if you go to like Jim Bob's Barbecue and Steak Grillers, sometimes they do. Now I'm curious. Is Chicago style a thing in Chicago?
Never heard of it personally.
I've never heard of
Do you know what
Chicago
it is?
style
Okay,
either.
So what Chicago style is
put ketchup on
a
it, or-
medium rare steak that is charred on the outside.
Oh, that's just bog standard steak.
Yeah.
No, but it's like extra caramelized on the outside, but
Okay.
still very
Like approaching
raw on the
burnt
ins-
maybe a little bit? Okay.
Now, I used to think that it was named that because that's how they made it in Chicago, but I think it's probably because Chicago was on fire at one point. No, I think
Oh, yeah,
Multiple
sure.
times, actually.
yeah, I think that's what it is. So I'm curious if one Chicago style steak exists in Chicago, and if it's called that, and if it does, is it the best?
Okay. You know where my brain goes to with this?
Weber.
If that's the case, then Montreal steak seasoning, is that how they season all steaks in Montreal?
They do use it a lot.
Okay. I mean, because that was my brain, 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the style of cook is Chicago, is it true everywhere? Is Montreal steak seasoning which is just adding like ginger and or not ginger, ground garlic and
I definitely don't associate Montreal with steaks though, even because of that. Like to me, it's like when you say Montreal meat, it's Montreal smoked meat.
Oh.
Which I don't know if that's a big thing here.
It's like smoked meat. You mean like
heard of
It's
it.
like
Definitely heard of it.
it's like pastrami. It's a deli meat.
Yeah.
But it's like it's its own slight thing, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it has some of those flavor notes of Montreal.
Maybe that's where it came
steak
from.
sauce. So I think that's like kind of the maybe could be wrong. I don't want to.
Wow.
I have no steak Canadian-based questions at this time.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Bye.
I'll go back to
No
my
further
next
questions.
one then.
You just got like a list.
Good, because I've got so
This
many
is the second topic.
so many steak questions. So you're thinking you're gonna go to a steakhouse. I don't know if there's a good steakhouse. There's the Weber Grill is nearby, and they had solid steak.
Yeah, it was
very
fine.
close,
It was
though, so
fine.
it's-
The problem with deep dish pizza, Jeremy, is that the options you have in Schaumburg are Giordano's and Lou Malnati's, which is like you're eating at like the most popular and business savvy establishments that have gotten outside of Chicago or in Schaumburg and even are in like there's a Giordano's in Minnesota that you can eat at. And so if you really want the best deep dish, you have to hunt and you have to know. You have to, know a local who knows a great
spot.
place. So they're gonna be like very mid. But like I don't want to trash on deep dish.
That being said,
Can be
I feel
good.
like you should never judge like a food style based on its best example. You should always judge a regional kind of really important food style based on its mid.
That is interesting.
How does it perform at your average spot?
Okay.
So I'm okay with that. I'm not too excited about it though, because that doesn't really appeal to me. Like if we have to define pizza in American terms, I'm definitely like more like a New York pizza kind of person.
Okay, sure.
So like, which I feel like is like the furthest away from deep dish you can kind of
Definitely, yeah.
But deep dish isn't a pizza; it's a hot dish. If you approach it like that, it's a hot dish.
I think like if I look at it like, oh, this is Italian shepherd's pie.
It is.
Kinda,
100% is.
Yeah.
Which is in its own way, it's good. And I don't go out of my way to get deep dish other than we usually go. We didn't go last year because we were too lazy on getting reservations. We usually go every year, just kind of as this part of the experience, right?
Yeah,
so it
we go.
grounds it to where we are,
Yeah.
And so there's some level of fun in that.
Or Portillo's. Get some Chicago-style hot dogs.
Well, I like a Chicago-style hot dog.
Yeah. Portillo's is good. That's also another average one that I would definitely recommend because they don't make bad stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's like a Chicago version of a Culver's now, where it's like it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Get an Italian beef and ask for it blessed.
Don't. It's just gonna be a soggy mess.
They
Don't drench
oh, sorry, not blessed, baptized.
Oh, okay.
That is so baptized is a certain number of seconds where they take the whole sandwich and they just put it in the beef broth and let it sit in there. So it's filthy. It's
It
like almost
disintegrates.
unedible.
So
Yeah.
it's like if you get a beef dip that's served to you in the au jus sauce,
Yeah,
like just floating there.
Yeah, not floating exactly, but yeah, it's fucking gooey.
That
yeah.
ship
It's
is already sunk. It can
it's
no
a
longer
fucking knife
no
affair.
longer be buoyant. That ship is just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
sink
yeah,
to the
yeah.
bottom.
It sucked.
Yeah, even when you just have it dunked, I've had it. Is it dipped where they just like boop, just put it in there? By the
too
time I
much.
go and even like sit down,
Like walk to your table. It's
yeah,
like-
it's like if that paper outside it, that wax or parchment paper wasn't there, I would have no sandwich left.
Yeah, it just disintegrates kind of.
Yeah, it's load bearing.
Yeah.
To bring it back to construction terms.
All right, we
right.
done here with the food chat?
Yeah, I've never, but sure.
All right.
if we have to be.
We're going to get into the after party, which is about 20 to 30 minutes extra content with Jeremy, asking him questions like miles that he's enjoyed from other people that he's seen in the last 2 weeks, a new thing he's tried out and experimented with, and also us giving feedback to one of our patrons. If you're not a member, we'll see you in a little bit for the outro, but if you are, if you know, you know. So we're going to get it right now. All right. Welcome to the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Jeremy, where can people find you on the internet?
YouTube Black Magic Craft.
Okay.
And the game is at idolsoftorment.com.
All right, wonderful. I have both of those things linked down in the description and show notes below. Thank you so much for traveling all the way to Minnesota just for us.
Just for
we
you.
really appreciate that.
I was neat. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go visit Scott and John, do the podcast, and hey, you know what? Then after that, I could just like, I guess Adepticon's happening.
That's it. It was Adapticon was the afterthought, not us.
Honestly, though, that being said, the drive was so smooth. I've done the drive a few times, but like in good weather, made good time. I'm like, that was not a big deal. Like I could literally do that to play a game.
Yeah.
So I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Just to play a game. Let's
Well,
go.
maybe not,
You don't have to buy Necromunda League. You can come once every 2 weeks.
I can't play a game once every 2 weeks in my own house, let alone a different country.
This is like our real world problems. I'm the same way. I'm like, God damn, I really wish I could get a game in. I haven't played Age of Sigmar since before COVID. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you there.
You guys are noobs. I've been crushing it with the games lately.
Yeah, you've been giving her.
Yeah,
making up for lost time on games.
If you count all of the games of all board games and card games and miniature war games I play, I'm averaging like 20 games played a month.
That's
so far.
insane.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
That's like an actual person in the hobby, a real hobbyist who likes games and not a YouTuber who pretends to. Good job.
Right? Yeah, you're not a sellout, at least in that regard. So.
yeah. Other things, maybe not. If you guys like the podcast and you want to support it, we already mentioned the Patreon and what you can find there, but that's a great way to do it. If you don't have the cash to spend, though, you can also whitelist our podcast channel on YouTube. We play an ad every 30 minutes. You can tell your nerd friends about our podcast, share the love, give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Those are great free ways free ways to do it. If you have some cash to spend, you can also check out our Teespring. We have awesome merch there, 3 different designs, all kinds of different articles of clothing. I was actually just paid a compliment recently via email about how well some of the Tup merch stood up to the wash, which, that's nice to hear. It's kind of difficult with
I have worn my Tup shirt many times.
You have? Yeah, the Tendy Destroyer one?
The Tendy Destroyer, it's held up real well.
I see that. I see that sometimes.
And I don't treat clothes well in the wash.
Okay, so there we go. They're here, right there.
Did you bring it with you to Adepticon?
No, I didn't, because
damn it.
I was like, you know what, I've worn that too much. But I will say, if you're a tall boy, because at least you're using Teespring, they got the XLT sizes. The T sizes, tall boys, they got the longer shirts. Do it.
Okay.
Good stuff. And don't forget to ask Scott, when is this video coming out?
Please don't. I'm triggered already.
the tall boy shirts too. You can go get yourself a Trapped Under Plastic tall boy shirt. I just wear them as nighties.
Do you?
Oh,
that's it. That's all I wear.
You're just pantsless.
Yeah, that's all I wear.
Sexy socks.
Yeah. I wear Christmas socks any time of the year.
Yeah.
And then that.
It's business time.
It's business.
Team building exercise 99.
Ow.
All right. Well, before we debut our cover album for Flight of the Conchords, we're going to end this podcast.
We're so grateful. We're so grateful for Jeremy for being here. We're also grateful that he is not going to copyright strike us while we use all of the music from his vinyl. Idols of
It's
Torment.
not out yet.
I know. Well, when it is, this is just setting the groundwork for when it comes out. I'm going to change that as my intro to every video on my channel, and then not give you a nickel. And then probably the intro to Trapped Under Plastic.
I mean, that's fine.
It's
Okay. He said it's fine.
We'll just put a link in the video description, right?
Yeah. That's all I have to do.
Just pay me with exposure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we'll just have a little thing and then just underline it in
what?
really small size.
I actually think that the rent for this place is about 500 exposures.
500
That's
exposures?
actually fantastic, actually.
Right. Yeah.
With inflation, it's about 550 exposures.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing because then we go get tendies later. That only costs us like 16 exposures.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look at that. We're amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great barter system we have.
Yeah.
Okay, we were going to end this podcast, right?
Yeah. I think. You
Oh,
did.
yeah, right. Yeah. So we're going to see you when we see you, eh? Maybe we'll get some ketchup chips and some maple syrup. And when we do that, it'll be on the
And some poutine.
Flippity flop.